honestly, that thumbnail, my eyeshadow palettes fell way too many times. Hello lovelies, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jessica Maria, and if you're new here, welcome. Don't forget to subscribe before you go. Today we're going to be talking about all the eyeshadow palettes that I have hit pan on, and there's actually quite a few. I do try to use my eyeshadow palettes, and I try to only keep eyeshadow palettes in my collection that I am using, and I work to curate them and get rid of them and pass them on to others, donate them, toss them when they've expired way past their expiration date because I keep my eyeshadows way too long. But I do try to curate my collection and keep only what is functional for myself, and I try to use them because it is a product that expires. It is a product with a function that is supposed to be used, and that is the way I am working to think about my makeup in a complete fashion. That didn't make sense, but that's how I'm working to look at my makeup these days. Okay, so I'm just gonna go with what I have on top. I made this big stack for the thumbnail, and I'm just gonna work my way through the stack. So the first thing I have here is the Sugar Pop palette by Too Faced, and I have 3 pans in this palette. I really love this palette. I think this is a great base shade, the sweet and spicy, and then this macaron, this orange shade right here, I love it. And then this is Blackberry. It's a great burgundy shade, and I love that shade as well. So those are the 3 pans I have in that palette. The next palette I have here is the Too Faced Just Peachy palette, and I have a few pans in, can I open this? In this palette as well. So I have, let's see here, I have 2 pans, and then I have 2 that are about to be pans. But I have the Peach Meringue, which I use as a base shade. So you're going to notice in a lot of these eyeshadow palettes, the base shade is going to be on pan because I use it over my entire eyelid every single time I use the palette. So I usually hit pan on my favorite base shade first. The next one is the Peach Cobbler, and Peach Cobbler is my favorite shade. I like to use this all over the lid. I like to use this in transition. I like to use this all the time when I use this palette. And then my next 2 favorite shades are Peach Tea and Peach Punch. And you may have heard me talk about this in other videos, but I really love pinky, peachy, corally shades. I just really love how they look on my skin tone and how they look on me. So yeah, that's that one. So that is the Just Peachy palette. The next one is one that I should probably get rid of because it's far too old. It is the Manny MUA Makeup Geek collaboration palette, and so this pan is in the Beaches and Cream. Again, this is probably the this is the shade that I use for my base shade, so that is why I've hit pan in it. This is a really great palette. It's no longer available. It was limited edition, but I love it, and I've made some good dents in it and enjoyed it over time. But I definitely, the last few times I've used it, I've noticed it has changed. But it was like one of my favorite palettes that I got. It has like a lot of sentimental value, so I might just keep it for that reason. It is the only palette that I have for sentimental value, and that just might be something that I decide to keep. I don't know. Anyways, I'm not even talking about a decluttering right now, so let's move on. The next palette is the Cute AF palette, and I have one tiny little baby pan right here in the base shade. You can see there's a few other shades that have some decent dips in them. I really enjoy this palette. It is a little bit difficult to work with, but for the price point, it's great. And that yellow sucks. It doesn't even show up on my skin tone. The next one is the Too Faced Chocolate Bonbons palette. A lot of people didn't like this palette. I really like this palette. I like it. It's like a nice neutral cool tone shade palette, and I enjoy it. I don't so much like the pops of colors. They're very chunky and just hard to work with. But I love this Almond Truffle and Pecan Praline shades. You can see I've hit pan on them. I've almost hit pan on Bordeaux. I absolutely love Bordeaux as well. I like Malted. I like Mocha. I like Cashew as well. And that is about it for this one. And I'm almost, it looks like I'm gonna be hitting pan soon on this one. I use this one for my base shade. The next one is the Sweet Peach palette by Too Faced, and this one I have a few pans in. I've got this one, which I use as my base shade. This is my favorite shade in the palette. It is the Pinky Corally shade, and this is Summer Yum. Oh, that's called Candied Peach. And then that is Summer Yum. This one is what I use most with Candied Peach, so you can see why I would hit pan on it first. So those are my 3 favorite shades in the palette. And I've got some good dents going on with some other ones, but those are the 3 pans in this one. The next one is the Too Faced Semi-Sweet Chocolate palette, and I really love this palette. I think it's a great neutral palette, and I have a few pans in this. This one does not count as a pan. I hated this shade so much that I cleaned it out and got rid of it so that I wouldn't keep getting annoyed by it. But this shade is the shade that I use for my base. This is probably my favorite shade in the palette, and my favorite go-to look is this in my crease, this on my inner 2/3 of my eye, or no, all over my eye, and then this on my inner 2/3 of my eye, and you can see that's the 4 shades I've hit pan on. It is my go-to look with this palette. The next palette is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Prism palette, and I have hit 3 pans in this palette. Again, I try and say this every time I talk about pan in my Anastasia Beverly Hills palette, because I think sometimes the reason why we love seeing pans so much is because they're really difficult to get, and it really shows that you've really used this product. If you've hit pan on something, you have really used that product. You know it really well, and it is something that you have just worked with a lot. And with Anastasia Beverly Hills, I like to give like a little disclaimer, because it is a much more powdery formula, but I go in very light-handed with it, and I do take that into account when I'm using it. So although I still think I hit pan a lot faster on these because they are a softer product. But so anyways, moving on. I've got Eden, Unity, and Saturn here that I've hit pan on, and I've got some good dents going on in Lure and Parallel here. Unity I use as my base shade. Eden and Saturn are my 2 favorite other shades, you can see, because I've hit pan. But again, they're those corally pinky shades that I love. And the next one is the Subculture palette, an extremely controversial palette, but I really enjoyed it. It is no surprise that I have hit quite a few pans on this, even going in with a light hand, because this is an extremely soft and powdery formula, and it looks like I have hit quite a few pans. I hit Dawn, Roxy, Fudge, New Wave, and All-Star. New Wave is probably my favorite shade in this. You probably thought it was going to be Roxy, but it's not, because New Wave is very unique to my collection, and I think it is just the perfect yellowy, mustardy, burnt mustard even, shade that I have ever seen. And I will probably repurchase Subculture just for that eyeshadow. And usually I would say that's crazy, but I mean, I do enjoy the rest of the palette as well. But when New Wave is gone, I will probably replace this palette. The next palette I've hit pan on is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Soft Glam, and I've hit just a little bit of pan right here on Tempera, and that is what I use for my base shade. And actually, looking at it, I've almost hit pan on Burnt Orange and Sienna as well. Almost, not quite yet. And then I've got the Kat Von D Saint Center palette. Let me go ahead and open that up. And I have hit pan on one shade, and that is on Amen. I use that as my base shade, so it's no surprise. I have some good dents going in Martyr and Devil, and in Crucifix, and a little bit in Baptism, but not much. So that is everything that I have hit pan on. Let me know down in the comments what you guys have hit pan on and what you've almost hit pan on, because I feel like those big dips are even nicer, because I'm like, ooh, I'm about to hit pan. So let me know down in the comments below. If you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed already, don't forget to subscribe before you go. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!